Good morning, traders. Welcome back to your morning watch list. What we're going to do today is we're going to run through the big indexes. So we're going to take a look at the NASDAQ or QQQ. We'll take a look at the S&P 500 or SPY ETF. And then we're going to look at just these tons of penny stocks that are moving around right now. For those of you that follow the channel for some time, or those of you that have been trading for a while, and those for you that have not been trading for a while, here it is. Penny stocks normally pick up in the winter season of the year, starting anywhere from usually October going all the way to March. Throughout the summer season, they're usually going to be much slower. You'll have some plays here and there. So if you're solely a penny stock player, then generally your best time to be trading penny stock is going to be October to March. And then into April, it's going to slow down and so on. So with no further ado, let's get rocking and rolling on this. We're going to increase this screen. All right, so the first thing we're going to look at here is a QQQ. Now, yesterday on the stream, you had seen that I had mentioned that we could probably push up to like this 278, maybe it was closer to like 280 at the time. But you can see we have done this bounce move and we've gone all the way back up to our trend resistance here. All right, so you can see right there, that little line, we're rejecting away from that. So for right now, markets have bounced back up to their nearest trend target and we're starting to pull back. This is 100% normal. This is exactly what the market should do, essentially. Now, if I were to go to a daily chart, there really isn't a whole lot to go off of on longer time frame trends here. And what I mean by that is currently the price is around, what exactly? Hold on, give me 1 second. The price is right now, we topped here at 279. Okay, so if we go to this daily chart, the daily chart does not have trending support until 270. Okay, and on the upside, the daily chart doesn't really have resistance until 285. So where we're sitting currently is a potential move up to 285 and really no support on the downside in terms of trending support until about 270, 271 or so. Okay, so this is a situation where the daily chart might not really give us enough information. The 4-hour chart really isn't giving us enough information. At this point, it's something where I would just pretty much go off of the intraday chart. So I would say to myself, on an intraday perspective, we have support here, resistance on the upside there, resistance on the upside here, and that's really the way we would go about watching this. Since there is no bigger time frame level that is interacting on the chart within this intraday channel, then we just go off the intraday channels. And so what I mean by that is if I go to the daily chart and I go, oh, okay, our nearest support's down here at like this 270, and then we go look at the 1-minute chart, well, 270 is all the way down there. So that bigger time frame level does not interact with the intraday channel. Therefore, we would just mention that we're probably just going to trade off intraday zones. Whereas if this level was, say, here, right, it was like somewhere in here, we're like, okay, there's a good chance we're going to come down to that daily chart level and then we'll bounce. But since it doesn't exist within the realm of this intraday moving channel, we're not going to play like that. We're just going to say, hey, we're just going to be trading off these intermediate levels within the day. Okay, so the recap here on QQQ is we're still bullish. We don't really see a big need to be too bearish. Yes, we could see maybe a little further pullback today, but at the end of the day, we have pulled back, and the next thing that we would look for if we anticipate the market's going to go to 282 is we need to recover all the way back to this trend right here at 278. And when we successfully can get through 278, at that point we could suggest, hey, markets are most likely moving back up to 281, which will be this daily chart level here. Or wait, excuse me. Yes, let me redo that. The level here at 285. When we successfully kind of cross to the 278, at that point we might be able to suggest markets are going to keep bouncing all the way back up to the nearest target of 285. Now we're going to go take a look at the SPY. The SPY is going to be looking far different than the Qs. So we'll go over this. All right. So if we start here on a 4-hour chart, well, let's go back. We'll take a look at this daily chart. So we're looking at the 365-day chart. Okay. So you can see we come down, we do that 320 bounce as mentioned, previously. We bounce back up to our resistance mark, and then we go over. So we've held support over our nearest resistance mark. All right. Now we would go to the 4-hour chart and see, okay, is there anything that we're running into And really, there's not anything we're running into for right now. So this is a situation where we would say, we are pulling back. Let's see if we can pull back down to 332.60, which would be that daily chart level right there. So I'll click it, add a bunch of them, so it gets a little thicker, right? So that's what we do. We say, okay, there's a trending support now. Markets are currently pulling back. So that would, to me, say, all right, we have a potential support bounce in this, like, whatever price it is, 332.30s, and now we'll go look at the 1 minute chart and say, oh, what do you know? Those prices exist within the intraday channel. So very possible you see a market retrace down to this price and then a bounce on the day, okay? So just know that that is a strong level. And if we look left, we can see that the price interacted there, held, then bounced, okay? So for now, what we're suggesting here on the SPY is honestly even a potential retrace down here to this 332 and then a bounce on the day. And if we go back and we look at these time frames, the nearest target on the upside is at 343.22. And if we put a level there, you will notice that that pretty much comes in line with what? Your nearest price action resistance. So there is a strong chance that we can still see these markets move all the way back up and then tag around the 343 to create this resistance mark. And if they do that, what's it going to look like? It's going to look like something like this, okay? It would look like boom. Almost like a head and shoulders pattern, right? If we do that. So if we bounce all the way back up to those prices, that trend, we will most likely hit resistance there and then we'll pull back and we'll start to form an inverse head and shoulders formation, okay? There's a lot of work that the market still has to do, so we'll see how it all plays out. Now let's play the opposite side. Let's say the market really doesn't want to go up and it's actually really going to retrace. The nearest support you would have on the downside, if in the event that like 332 price I was just talking about somewhere in here breaks, right? If that came down, broke, good chance you're going to retrace all the way back down here to 328 because that is the nearest trending support after we break through 332. All right. So for now, we still want to be bullish on the market and really just actively looking for more long bias trading and hopefully seeing the NASDAQ and the SPY retracing to their nearest upside target of around, say, like 343 on the SPY. Okay. Now what I want to do is touch on pretty much all the random penny stocks that are jumping this morning. Here's a stock APM that went from like $1 all the way to 29, so super crazy move. It's seen some pretty good volatility. This is the only stock that this morning I have been active on. So I did one trade here for $900 on this stock. Essentially, just bought a bounce trade. So bought the bounce down here, right there, and then sold it there. And then of course I was selling along the way up. So I took my entry here, sold some, and then my last exit was up there on that, and now we're coming down. Now there is still a good chance that this can have a good move because essentially the stock has gone from, down here all the way to extremely overbought, all the way back down to essentially oversold below trend. And now what we're creating, or at least trying to create currently, is a bull flag in the buying cycle of this trend. So this is what a lot of traders are trying to make happen. They're trying to get a bull flag to break out here, and if they're successful, their nearest target they're going to try to reach is going to be here. Now that will only work if the bull flag breaks up and then crosses this trend. Okay, so you can see this one here at like 10. It's at like 1047. So I don't even like this bull flag yet because if you look there's a lot of intermixed selling so far. And this pullback here, we got a lot of selling. So the only way this is going to break up is if all these sellers get out of the way and we shift back to buying volume. See, if you look at my bounce where I traded my bounce, you can see that as we were coming down, you will see that the selling volume decreased. And even on these red candles, like here, we were starting to go to buying. So like that red candle, there was like 50% buying, 50% selling. And then we go down here and you can see that the buyers stepped in, the sellers moved out. And then on this candle, we went to 100% buying, pretty much 100% buying, little hesitation candle, and then just all buying pressure, right? So that's how I kind of knew I was on a good bounce. Now, if we go over here and we look at what this is trying to do, you can see as we've come down a little bit, we're starting to get some buyers. It looks like the sellers are stepping out. So we're still iffy. The TTM is dark blue and red, so this bull flag probably won't work out, and it's probably going to break to the downside is what I would suggest. But say I'm wrong and say it does actually want to go up, you're not going to get the bull flag breaking out move when we cross this flag pattern. You're only going to get it if you successfully go through 1045. So this is a situation where you could maybe see like a candle pop up through this trend. You think it's going to go, and then it hits that trend there, and then it comes back down. Okay, because it's only truly breaking out if it's going through the 1046 price. And after it does that, you might be able to suggest a target of about $13 there. So APM is the only stock I've been active on this morning for just one bounce trade there. And now let's keep looking at all the other penny stocks. And like I said, look at this. I'm just going to run through a bunch of them really quick, and you're going to see that they're just popping up like crazy. Like here's HUSA. You know, this is about to run into resistance, so this is a high risk entry point. You definitely would want to be selling now. You don't want to be getting long. You'd want to be selling because again, if I may, right down here is low risk. Here is, and let me just put it differently. Let me put it this way. Let me delete this drawing. I put 2 there. Huh. I must have duplicated that drawing. So ready? I can bet you anything. I'll bet you right now, if this price reaches this blue line, you're going to see a bunch of people sell it. Like, fact. If it goes up to here, that's where I would be actively getting short, okay? And you would be like, well, it's just going up and reaching the previous high. That's true. So that's the trend, right? As we're starting to, now look at this, right? As we're getting over this green level, you can kind of see that some selling was stepping in there. So I'll watch this one with you guys for a couple minutes, and I'll explain a couple other things. So, if I may, this rectangle box here is suggesting, not suggesting, it is, that is the statistical average, okay? And when we move up from the white in the middle to this, we're basically saying we have deviated away from the average by 1. When we go up to the green, we're saying we have deviated away from the average by 2. When we go up to the blue, we're saying we have deviated away from the average by 3. And we normally don't trade over 3 very often, and if we do, we don't trade up there for very long. So let's see if Connor's suggestion holds true, and that we would probably see some sort of selling action occur right here at the blue. All right, so look at this candle. You can see the selling is increasing. You can see how that seller bar is coming up, or at least it's trying to so far. All right, so you can see it now. We kind of flip back to buying. We have yet to touch. We just touched. All right, so there's a good chance you're going to see this turn into a red candle, or the next one, or the next one, but we might get like 2 or 3 candles here and some hesitation. But this is a good point where you'd say this is a fantastic trade. We would take some profit, and we really wouldn't look for too much more than that, because that is a fantastic move, fantastic trade. There's your red candle starting to pull back. Now, if this pulls back hard, your next support is going to be right here. So this is where you might suggest we could do a little scalp entries down like say 369 or so, okay? So let's see if that happens. Let's see if this tanks out, hits your next support level on the way down. Okay, so we're close. We're off by, what's 380? So we're off by about 11 cents. There we go. Boom, right there. See the wick? Bam. Right there. Okay? So again, for those of you that I've taught this strategy, you know, many people say it doesn't work, the trends always move. What do you mean? I just told you it was going to sell off at the blue and it was going to pull back right to the green. And then that's where you would see maybe a couple people buy in. And you saw the candle jump, and there it is. It's starting to hold. All right? So if the bulls want to keep controlling this move to the upside, they need to start holding this level. Right? So this green candle, it needs to be back over there. Right? If it can't get over, this can suggest that we're going to continue to move lower in this move. So what the bulls want to do is make sure that they have this candle and maybe the next candle closing above that green line. If they can't do it, that's suggesting weakness, okay? So there's a really good live move caught for you, at least just walking you through it. And so just know that, right? So if you've seen a move like this, like you don't want to buy up there. It could keep going. Yes, it can keep going. But if you just get in the habit of trading from point A to point B and taking logical market moves, then you will eliminate much of that questioning that you have and go, can it go higher? Can I make a little bit more money? No, you're just happy. You're done. You've made a successful trade. You traded from down here to up here. You've traded the logical move. You're not looking for the exuberant move, which would be over the blue and keep going and keep right. That just doesn't make much sense. Now, look at the chart. Red, red, red. okay? So that candle barely closed above. Now we got the next candle kind of hovering. So this is a situation where if they don't hold here and blah, 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 and it breaks down, I mean, you could probably just target that this is going to eventually fade back out to about 314 here, okay? But again, so on and so forth. Let's keep moving along. So this is HUSA, and as you can see, right, here's HUSA. What else moved today? I mean, you had PED, you had GRNQ, all right, you had ARTL, I think. I mean, there's just BIOC maybe. I mean, they're all over the place. MECP. I mean, there's probably even more, and I just can't even like think of them. Like USEG might have been one, USEG. So you have stocks that are all of a sudden really starting to run, and this is because we're getting closer to the winter season of the year, and this is where the penny stocks really start to move. So with that being said, yes, we will probably watch HUSA. Right, so now that we've held, I mean, there's a good chance that you're going to see HUSA creep all the way back up to this blue line. Now, this is very important, right? Because if you look at the RSI now, because of the previous pullback, the RSI is now lower, which can create a bearish divergence going into the next high, which therefore would probably create a harsher pullback than the one we just saw. So let's see if we creep back up to the blue and then this actually rolls over. Okay, there's a good chance that is actually going to happen. So regardless, it doesn't even look like the stock has any news. It really doesn't. So let's check the daily chart here. So daily chart's over 4-hour trend with a lot of strength. That's good. We're at, what are we at, 437 here. So we are currently above everything for the past year in terms of resistance. We're over all that. Check a 3-year chart. So 3-year chart, we're still downtrending, okay. So I'll just tell you right now that the price target on this stock is already 238, 100%. The price target for this stock is 100% already 233 on the downside. Let's check the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart's about the same in the 230. So yeah, price target for the short sellers for the next, let's just say like 2-3 days, it's going to be 238, right? That's just where they're anticipating the stock is going to retrace to. And why? Because think about it. Remember, it's the same thing as the intraday channel. This is the statistical average right there. So there's a strong chance, just like these ones, you see how it went up, spiked, and then it crashed all the way back down to there. Went up, spiked, crashed all the way back down to there. Went up, spiked, crashed all the way back down to there. Same thing. It's going to spike, and then it's going to probably end up crashing all the way back down to here at some point. All right? It's just this is the way it works. So with that being said, that's pretty much all we're going to cover in HUSA. It was more of a learning perspective than necessarily telling you exactly what you want to do. So nonetheless, a couple things that are also interesting today is WKHS. I think this is a little interesting, maybe not necessarily today, or sorry, no, not WKHS, NIO, NEO. So NEO kind of has like a pretty choppy bull flag taking place. And so you can see we kind of have like a bull flag pennant sort of, formation. And so if in the event NEO can kind of come up and then break through obviously its trend and get through 1924, you might have a little bull flag breakout that's going to occur there. So it's something interesting that I might be watching. It's a little iffy. The better bull flag was obviously this one. I would say that this flag pattern is more hopeful. So do be mindful of it. Do be a little careful. But NEO is in fact something that we'll probably be keeping on watch. All right. So, I mean, there's just the penny stocks are just moving. That's just it. They're getting pumped up. They're moving. This is some NOVSW. I don't even know what this does. Who knows? There's not even any news on the stock. It's just a bunch of people cracked up this morning trading shit because it's moving. That's what it seems like. The world's going crazy. COVID-19 is coming. We got the debate tonight. Donald Trump and Joe Biden, shit's gonna get hairy. Next thing you know, there's gonna be punches thrown, swinging jabbers. I mean, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fun. We got an election around the corner. If Donald Trump wins, the world's gonna burn down. If Joe Biden wins, the world's gonna burn down. I mean, that's literally what we're hearing on both sides of the field right now. All I can tell you is we're literally living in the twilight zone. Your United States dollar is most likely going to crash. Gold and silver will probably end up flying after they stop getting manipulated by Wall Street. Actually, once the dollar stops bouncing, hits our trend resistance, and then resumes a downtrend, then gold and silver will probably fly. So crazy world we're living in. Really appreciate you guys tuning in each morning with me on this morning stream. Share it to a friend, a family member who's interested. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, everybody take care. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys on the next one.